Let's do some things that I like and then some things that I hate. So I missed, apparently, the whole Serena Williams meltdown, and I have some thoughts on the Serena Williams meltdown. So if you missed it, over the weekend, Serena Williams is playing at the U.S. Open, the Women's U.S. Open, obviously, because she's the greatest women's player of all time. Not the greatest player of all time, the greatest women's player of all time. And Serena Williams, the reason I say that is because people in ESPN keep saying she should be considered the greatest tennis player of all time, which is absurd. Okay, it's just ridiculous. It's like saying Lisa Leslie should be considered the greatest basketball player of all time. What? Anyway, Serena Williams is playing this woman named, is it Naomi Osaka? I think it's Naomi Osaka. Excuse me, who's the up-and-comer. She's 21 years old from Japan. And Serena was favored in this match. She's coming off of pregnancy, and things are not going well for her. Osaka blows her out in the first set, and then they're playing a competitive second set, and Serena Williams starts to lose her cool because she's not playing as well as she wants, and she starts yelling at the chair umpire, and here's exactly what it looked like.
I didn't get coaching. I didn't get coaching. You need to make an announcement that I didn't get coaching. I don't cheat. I didn't get coaching. How can you say that? You owe me an apology. You owe me an apology. I have never cheated in my life. I have a daughter and I stand what's right for her, and I've never cheated. And you owe me an apology. You will never do it again. When are you going to give me my apology? You owe me an apology. Say it. Say you're sorry. Well, then don't talk to me. Don't talk to me.
Okay, and then she called the guy a thief, and then he gave her a game penalty. So basically, he gave her a warning, I guess, and then he gave her a point penalty when she smashed her racket, which is mandatory. And then when she called him a thief and a cheater, then he gave her a game penalty. And the left said that she was totally right about this. She was totally right. Now, if Maria Sharapova had done this, I highly doubt that you get that sort of response from the press, that this is sexism at work. But Serena Williams is a hero to a lot of people for some good reasons. That's fine. But she acted badly here. Okay, she acted badly here. End of story. And there are a bunch, and what I love is people who are non-tennis aficionados. I'm not a tennis aficionado. So that means that I will listen to people like the umpire in the John McEnroe match, who actually gave a game penalty to John McEnroe. I'll listen to Martina Navratilova. It seems like these people know more about tennis than I do, but I like all the people on Twitter who once saw a tennis match, and now they're like, oh, that's just terrible. That was sexism. If a man had done that, he would have gotten away with it. Really? Because John McEnroe really didn't get away with it. Right? This is a piece by Richard Ings, who's the umpire in the McEnroe U.S. Open. He says, his welcome to the job match happened at the 1987 U.S. Open. I was the chair umpire for the fourth round stadium court match between John McEnroe and Slobodan Zivanajevic, where I issued a warning, point penalty, and game penalty against McEnroe. The game penalty for a string of obscenities against me came at 4-5, costing McEnroe the set and making the match one set all. The memories and scars of my welcome to the job match are fresh for even more than 30 years later. Ramos will be going through much of the same emotions. He says that all of this was exactly right. He says that Ramos did exactly the right thing. He says all players know that destroying a racket on the court is a mandatory code violation. The game penalty was triggered after Williams, in a lengthy tirade, loudly accused the umpire of being a thief, stealing points from her. Ramos let the tirade slide, showing great composure until Williams accused him of cheating. All players know that publicly attacking the honesty of the umpire is going to result in an immediate code violation. Ramos made absolutely the correct calls as the chair umpire in each of these three incidents. Now, if you mention that Serena acted badly, or that when Serena's been losing in the past, sometimes she loses her cool and acts badly, then this makes you some sort of sexist and racist. But I'm not the one who's making this claim, okay? To other chair umpires, it's Martina Navratilova. So Martina Navratilova said this. She said, Mr. Ramos effectively had no choice but to dock her a point. This is Martina Navratilova, probably, if not the greatest women's player of all time, maybe the second greatest women's player of all time after Serena Williams. She says, Miss Williams opted to argue about this. She insisted she didn't cheat, she wasn't coached, and therefore she shouldn't have been docked. But she didn't. It doesn't matter whether she knew she was receiving coaching. She was being coached. Her own coach admitted it after the match. So at this stage, she had been giving a warning, one that couldn't be dismissed retroactively, and had smashed her racket in automatic violation. Mr. Ramos effectively had no choice but to dock her a point. She says, and here's what Navratilova says. If, in fact, the guys are treated with a different measuring stick for the same transgressions, this needs to be thoroughly examined and must be fixed. But we cannot measure ourselves by what we think we should also be able to get away with. This is exactly right. If you think that the umpire should be harsher on the men, that's one thing. If you think Serena should be able to get away with things because men have gotten away with it in the past, I'm not sure how you argue that. In politics, we call that whataboutism. Jonathan Last over at the Weekly Standard makes this point. He says, Serena has a history of lashing out in big matches when she's getting beaten by inferior players. In 2009, Serena was getting worked by Kim Clijsters in the semis at the U.S. Open when she got called for a foot fault. Again, the call itself was correct. She exploded in a tirade against the female line judge that included a physical threat. In the 2011 finals at the U.S. Open, Serena was getting beat by Sam Stosur when she yelled in the middle of a point. The chair umpire called interference, again correctly, and Serena exploded at her, saying, "Aren't you the one who screwed me over last time? Are you coming after me? That is totally not cool. Don't even look at me. You're a hater. You're very unattractive inside." Again, this doesn't change the fact that Serena Williams is the greatest female player ever, but she basically stole the headline from an up-and-comer, and that is really kind of a terrible thing to do. The thing that I like about this is that there are some actual tennis experts who are coming out and speaking the truth and not being intimidated by the wave of publicity that has followed all of this. Okay,